because the little oyster wants to be eaten. What can you do? Stacia.
So, Your Excellency, you're of course familiar with Bella Dodd, are you not? You know who Bella Dodd was?
Yes.
Okay, and of course you said that when the communist operatives ordered their agents to infiltrate the churches of their ancestry, her quote before the House Un-American Activities Committee was, "We were successful beyond our wildest dreams."
That's it?
And of course the 30s, the 40s, and so forth.
Yep.
Now, isn't it within the realm of possibility? I mean, you can attribute these bizarre actions to stupidity, lack of grace,
yes,
pride. It's absolutely not without the realm of possibility that you've got the same type of Masonic infiltrators right in the
yes,
society and have
yes,
had, and have had. And how are you going to know it? Are they stupid? Are they smart? Are they smarter than you? Are they dumber than rocks? So I mean, that realm of possibility exists.
Of course it does. I've known these priests from the beginning. I think what is much more likely, when from their entry into the seminary, I've known them for 20, 30 years, each of them. And I'm not saying that I know everything that goes on inside them, but what seems to me much more likely is that they have, since they entered into the society, and from the moment that they began rising towards the top, somebody from outside, Masons from outside, located them and found ways of encouraging their promotion, but they're not actually themselves Freemasons. They don't need to be. It's better if they aren't. If they are suckers, they're always innocent, and there's no, you can't psychologically sense a sinister corner of their soul where they are Freemasons. There's no such corner. If they're not Freemasons, there's no such corner, and therefore they are suckers. They're useful idiots, as Lenin called them. That I think at least two of the Bishop Philly gang, so to speak, I think at least two of them have come under Masonic influence. One of them, a brother priest of his inside the society, has said that he is a member of the lodge. It's possible he's become a member of the lodge since he's been in the society. Again, he started in the society, innocent, well-meaning, good young man, ready to give his life to God. And that's how it starts. But then he's not on his guard enough, he's not watching and praying enough, he's not informed enough about the Masonry, he doesn't realize what tricks they play and how they play them. And therefore he's sucked into it and convinced that this is the way to go. This is the way to get the church so in tune with the world that the church will no longer be cut off and isolated from the world, and the world would at last have the church to convert it back to Catholicism. It's a complete illusion. It's a Masonic illusion designed to fool and deceive the churchmen who've still got anything to them. They couldn't get to the Archbishop himself, but they got to his successors. That's one of them. The other, I've learned that it's very possible that a compatriot, how can I say, a compatriot who is very possibly Freemasonic had a considerable influence in his promotion. So you've got there two distinct dark areas in two of the ringleaders of the present misleading of the society. So what you're saying, is there a Masonic influence there? I'd say yes. Communist, I don't think so, no. But Masonic, yes.
Your Excellency, my question is twofold, and you can choose to answer in whatever order you'd like. What practical suggestions would you have for Catholics besides the 5 First Saturdays that you already mentioned? And then the second part of my question is, I can't remember if it's in Father Schmidberger's recent letter, but it's certainly been said by defenders of a deal, whether in writing or in a conference by Bishop Lay himself, I'm not sure, but defenders of a deal will say, well, Archbishop Lefebvre, when he was asked by Rome, always went to Rome or was always willing to speak with Rome. you were ordained and consecrated by the Archbishop, you knew him well. What would you say would be the Archbishop's stand now in 2016 with Pope Francis? What would he do?
What was your first question again?
Practical suggestions for Catholics.
50 missions a day, the 5 first Saturdays. The 5 first Saturdays going to extend into a habit of the 5 first Saturdays, distinctly to make reparation to the beloved and blessed Mother of God. Set month by month. That is doing what heaven asks. It will ring bells in heaven. It really will ring bells. And when enough Catholics are doing that, God gives the grace to the poor Pope, the poor conciliar Pope, the poor Pope, whoever he is, to make the consecration, and then the situation turns around. 2, what was the second question?
What would the Archbishop say and do now?
He would have nothing to do with these Romans. He would be courteous, he would be charitable, he would be respectful, but he would absolutely not go to talk to them. He would say, they are devils, they're more devils than ever, better disguised than ever, of more goodwill than ever, more convinced than ever that the Church has a new tradition. Because year by year, as the conciliar revolution is established, a new tradition is growing up. And the conciliarists are becoming the Church's traditionalists. So they're more convinced than ever that they're right, and more innocent than ever, more well-meaning than ever, more sincere than ever, more deceptive than ever. How God judges of their souls, God alone knows. But objectively, they are destroying the Church. They want to destroy the Church. They mean to destroy the Church. That's what they're doing. The Archbishop was very clear. He wanted Rome to. He wanted to help Rome by making Rome do something in favor of tradition, because that would have been a saving grace for the Romans and for Rome. To at least take off their hats to tradition, at least take off their hats, and then do something nice to the society, simply as for their own good. It wasn't primarily for the society that he was looking for the society to get approved. It was primarily for the good of the Church that he wanted Rome to get back on traditional track. And that's what the bad guys absolutely did not want at the beginning of 2009, which is why they blew the imbecile Englishman's conversation all over the place to block B16 getting cozy with Bishop Philip. All right, then I've lost the thread again. Where were you? What would the Archbishop say? He wanted, for the good of Rome and for the good of Church, to get Rome to do something in favor of tradition, which would be for Rome's good, not just for the society. He was not out for the society. Although he wanted the society to get some approval. But, because again, it would have done a lot of good for souls. Many souls, with the approval of Rome, would come towards the society, would not come to it without. And if they'd come to the Archbishop's Society, it would have done them a lot of good. If they now come to Bishop Philip's Society, it's a completely different thing. It's not going to do them much good, souls to come to the society today. Okay. So then the Archbishop, he held out a perch for the little Roman birdie to come down and sit on the perch. He went the full 9 yards and further with the protocol of 5 May 1988 with Cardinal Ratzinger. And then he had a bad night's sleep, and on the 6th of May, he took the protocol back. The protocol is simply you initial a draft, but that is not a signature. That's just initialing a draft. But what it means is that we're well on the way to a signature, and then the Archbishop the following day, he backtracked, because he's realized he was being had for a sucker. The Archbishop, the way the Archbishop described it was this. Rome said, yes, well, maybe one bishop. Then the Archbishop said, well, can we ordain him in June when we got everybody there? No, it's too early for things to be arranged. Can we ordain him in the summer? No, there's nobody in Rome. It wouldn't be possible. Can we ordain him at Christmas time? That's a little too far ahead to tell. Then the Archbishop, then the old oyster said, I'm not going to leave the oyster bed. I'm being taken for a sucker. They want me at the other end of the beach in order to eat me. That's it. And from then on, he said, these characters have made the ultimate demonstration that they're not sincere. They're not sincerely wanting to do tradition proportionate favor. Therefore, they're not to be trusted. And from now on, he said, it's going to be no more diplomacy. From now on, it's going to be doctrine. And these Romans, he said, from now on, and he kept that position right through until his death 2.5 years later, from now on, I call the shots. And the shots I'm going to call are, these Romans have got to come back to Pascendi, Lamentabili, Quas Primas, the great encyclicals which position the church opposite the rotten modern world, opposite liberalism. And he said, from now on, it's doctrine. And that's the position he held. He held firmly. And that's the position he would have held all the way through to today, because Rome hasn't changed, it's only got worse. And if he'd, by miracle, he'd survived, because he died at the age of 85, I think it was, if he'd survived another 15 years, while he was still alive, with his personal prestige, he could probably have held against the gang underneath him. But once he was dead, the gang was vulnerable. They no longer had his protection. The gang, they're good guys. With a good leader, a charismatic leader like the Archbishop, and true, they would have followed him. They would have continued. I think they would have continued following him. Even though Father Schmidberg already didn't agree. And even though it's clear that even before the Archbishop died, Father Schmidberg, as Superior General, was wishing to move and hoping to move and inclining to move the society in a different direction, in which he was free to move once the Archbishop was dead. And Bishop Foley after him. And they began moving in a liberal direction soon after the Archbishop died. But as long as the Archbishop was alive, they were good. They were good. What does that tell you about them? They're not wicked, but they are weak. So, what could the Archbishop have found? Those were the young men that offered themselves to him. At the time of the Counter-Reformation, the society, the Jesuits were inspired, were granted by God a number of crackerjack saints who really did a number as spearhead of the Counter-Reformation. I don't think you can say that the society was, maybe even the Lord God didn't have the material to provide the SSPX with some crackerjack young saints. The material's not there. So don't expect that with the material of today, you're going to get another Archbishop Lefebvre or that you're going to get another SSPX. I don't think it's going to happen.
I apologize, but we have to clean up pretty...
Sure.
So, I apologize.
Sure. I'll shut up. Enough. Let's say, let me give you a blessing. Benedictio Dei Omnipotentis, Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti, descendat super vos et manet semper. Amen. There we go. Sure. Pleasure.
Now this is not
Our friends, don't ask me how I roll eyes.
yes.
So the walrus come back.
Finally.